This week on Quadriga, after Istanbul, are IS attacks in Germany inevitable? At least 10 German tourists have been killed in a suicide attack in the heart of Istanbul. Ahead of the bombing, Turkish intelligence had warned Germany of impending IS attacks on foreign tourists. Germany is part of the international coalition against IS. Was this bombing an act of revenge? As Turkey warns of more attacks, possibly in Germany, it's clear that terrorism is no longer a distant threat. Coming to you from Berlin, Quadriga, the international debate. Your host this week, Peter Craven.
Yes, hello and a very warm welcome indeed to this latest edition of Quadriga, coming to you from the heart of the German capital. And after Tuesday's bomb attack in Istanbul, which left at least 10 German citizens dead, the question we're asking this week is, are IS attacks now inevitable here in Germany? Or to put it another way, and the way it's been expressed to me in the last couple of days by very many people here in Berlin, is it simply a matter of time before we experience such an attack? Now, to discuss those difficult questions, I'm joined in the studio by three seasoned analysts and commentators. Let me introduce them to you. First up, Alan Posner, who's a regular commentator for the Berlin-based newspaper Die Welt. He says there's no absolute protection against terror, but Germany can and must do more. We need more police and more surveillance. Welcome back to Quadriga to Dea Akal. She's a Berlin-based freelance journalist who's worked in the Turkish capital Ankara as a correspondent for various newspapers and TV channels and is currently with DW's Turkish desk. Dea says that despite differences, Turkey and Germany need each other now more than ever. And a very warm welcome to Zehran Ateş, who is a German lawyer and author and a prominent advocate of women's rights. Zehran believes that Germany is just as vulnerable to IS terror as any other country. The terror organisations, she says, have taken on such a dimension that they can only be combated militarily. Zehran, I'd like to begin with you because you've just come back from Istanbul.
Yes.
What can you report?
I can report that since more than 2 years, people are really afraid that something can happen at the place of Sultan Ahmed Place. And people are wondering why that could happen, why the state couldn't see that or realize that this place is really in danger, and it still could happen.
What might the answer be to that question then?
There was not enough security.
And why not?
Absolutely,
why
directly.
Not? I mean, you tell me that's such a sensitive location in Istanbul.
It's so sensitive. It's the heart of tourism. It's not only the heart of Istanbul for tourism, it's the heart of tourism in the whole Turkey. So everybody knew that we have so many tourists there, and we need this place also for our tourism. So why they didn't have so much more security there, more police? Maybe, we have to ask the police if it's a fault of the police or of government didn't realize it's really honestly or serious. So because the answer is really, really difficult to say. The state is responsible for this, doing nothing. It's hard to say, but many people say that. They just watched and do nothing.
What do you say there? Because, of course, this is an incredibly sad story because it comes at the end of a decade where we've talked about a golden decade in Turkey of growth and relative stability. It now appears to be over. Who could be behind this? Who's profiting from the fact that these groups are getting the weapons?
Well, obviously there are different dynamics, different regional powers, and of course the Islamic State is profiting from this violence because it's sending a signal to the world. It's trying to show strength in a very important city like Istanbul, in a district where Hagia Sophia, a church, once a mosque, and now a museum, a very important place for civilizations. I think it's quite disappointing and depressing, and the victims are Germans. Germany has been the country which has welcomed Syrian refugees fleeing from the Islamic State and from a war. It has a lot of impacts. It has a lot of targets, and we have to wait and see to see who really is behind the attack. Officials, Turkish government has stated that the Islamic State, ISIL, is behind it. And there are different informations. The guy the suicide bomber, went to register a week ago. Yeah. And we don't know whether his identity is his real identity, whether it's fake. And this really shows actually that the Islamic State is trying to do anything to commit attacks, because we know that since especially August last year, since the attack in Ankara, Turkey has increased its security and its operations towards the Islamic State that it has neglected for years. And we know that the German authorities actually stated yesterday that they were actually happy with the operations and the information flow, but it's too late.
Yeah, we know not enough to say it's IS behind this attack now. We didn't know that from Ankara also as well. So
we still don't know, actually.
We
no
still
one claims.
Don't know. Nobody claims.
It's early days yet. It's
the same story now. So.
But sorry, we still don't know who's behind Ankara, Diyarbakir, and Suruç, because we don't know. No one claims, and it's still not. We don't know the details about the investigations because they're bans.
What's your take on all this, Alan? This is an attack on Turkey, an attack on Germany at the same time.
Yeah, it's an attack on two countries which are partners, have been for years and will remain partners more than ever. Military partners. Germany is part of the fight against IS, and Turkey is part of NATO, has helped us through all the difficulties of the Cold War and so on. Turkey is trying to join the European Union, and Turkey is the main country we need to help us stem the refugee flow of refugees, and so on and so on and so on. So hitting Turkey and Germany at the same time makes sense for a lot of people, let's face it. It would make sense, for instance, for the Assad government or people, but it would make sense, I mean, who have their Persian, their Iranian backers. It would make sense, of course, for IS. It would even probably make sense for the PKK. Anyone who wants to destabilize Turkey, and there's enough people out there who do.
Yeah.
And
that's the point.
You know, they will do something like that, which is all the more surprising and shocking that it was so easy.
So easy to do that.
This is the point, and of course they can attack us here.
Well, I was going to ask, what about destabilising Germany? You know, the Justice Minister Heiko Maas says the security situation hasn't changed, but as I said in my introduction, I'm bumping into people all the time who are now telling me it's only a question of time here in Germany.
But we say it since 2 or 3 years, more than a long time. It's just a question of time.
Yeah, it is a question of time, probably. But the point is that there's still this notion out there that we don't want to change our habits, that we don't want more police on the street, we don't want more surveillance cameras. We have demonstrations against people against our security apparatus working together with NSA, as if that was the problem, if they were blowing us up in the street. And this mindset has to change.
This is the difference between Turkey. I don't know if you have the same opinion like me. This is different. In Turkey, people want more security.
Yeah.
We don't need a change in Turkey for that. People ask for more security. Yeah. They ask why you don't have more cameras there in this place. Why you don't put more police there in this place. Yeah, yeah? We want it.
OK, we'll talk about how to improve security in just a second. Let's go back, first of all, though, to that strange fact, that remarkable fact that Germany has not so far been struck by the kind of attacks that we've seen in a whole string of capitals and countries around the world. The sense, though, is that the danger is getting ever closer.
In November, the cancellation of an international soccer match in Hanover emphasized the rising threat of an attack. And authorities in Munich took warnings of an impending strike over New Year's very seriously. There are signs that the most recent bombing in Istanbul was also meant to kill and wound Germans. Germany has been involved in the coalition fighting IS for some time. One area where it's active is in training and arming Kurdish militias in the region. In December, the German government approved further arms shipments to Peshmerga fighters. And just a few days ago, Tornado reconnaissance jets left Incirlik Air Base in southern Turkey on their first missions against IS. Will Germany now pay a price for its contribution to the fight against terrorism?
Question first, Alan. Is Germany now paying the price, beginning to pay the price for being involved in this coalition against IS?
You know, I think that's the wrong way of looking at it. It's as if we did something first and now they're retaliating. They would have attacked us. They attacked us not even beginning with 9/11, but let's take 9/11. There were victims from all over the world in those buildings. It wasn't a retaliation for anything. It was jihad. It was attack. And of course, this means the whole West. This means the whole concept of a free society. And Germany, being such an important part of the West, is going to get hit, be it in our own country here, be it, remember the attack on that synagogue in Tunisia. There were German tourists there. Germany wasn't engaged in any activities at the time that happened. This was simply, you know, I mean, we are attacked as part of the West, not because of anything we do.
I can sense that the ladies are in agreement with you here, Alan, but what's your explanation for why there has so far not been the kind of attack that we've seen in London and in Bombay and in New York and in Madrid? Why has that kind of attack not struck in Germany so far?
Well, I think Germany security and intelligence is quite well. I think they're hardworking and they have good cooperation with several different countries. We know from the statements of the intelligence security officials. I think another reason is also because Germany is a country, it's a pluralistic country. Religious groups in Germany are not radical as in other countries. And I think this is very important to maintain. Fundamentalists don't have too much support in Germany. We know from the Turkish society and the Muslim society. But I think compared to other European countries.
So Germany, a pluralistic, tolerant society, but Alan Posner is saying more police, more security guards, more closed-circuit TV, more control of telephone data. Where does it end? Yeah, that doesn't sound like the liberal, tolerant society that you are describing.
I personally don't agree that we need more and more security. Turkey is a country with a lot of security, and no, I mean, openly speaking, it's in the late few years. You cannot move in Turkey without being, you know, there are videos, cameras everywhere. Everyone is under control. What you speak, what you talk, internet, everything. I don't think that's the main point. I think the focus should be put on solutions to the political problems in the region. Turkey is involved way too much in the sectarian and political regional power struggle. Germany is a little bit more prudent in this sense, and I think it makes a lot of difference. We cannot talk about mainly only security precautions. It's not enough to overcome terrorism. I guess that's not what you meant. I suppose.
No, it's not enough. I agree totally. But you have to do what you can do, and it's not. You know, if you say I want more closed-circuit TV watching over places, I'm not in favour of a police state. I'm not watching people who are demonstrating for animals' rights. So I'm just making sure that if someone commits a crime, we'll be able to trace them, like in Cologne and so on. And as for why hasn't it happened here, well, firstly, we were very lucky. There was a bomb in, by the way, the main station in Cologne a couple of years ago. It just didn't detonate. There was a bomb in the main station at Bonn. It just didn't detonate. So, you know, we don't know how lucky we... What would we be talking about if that had exploded? So, you know, we're just lucky. You have to live with that fact.
So, at the top of the show, we had you saying that the terror organisations must be combated militarily. Yeah. But there are many people here in Germany, possibly the majority, who are very much of a pacifist frame of mind. I think it's fair to say that. OK, but you're talking for military intervention to combat IS. Many Germans would say that will only backfire. That will only make the situation worse. They would argue that the situation has been made worse in Iraq, that the situation has been made worse in Afghanistan and in Libya, that we shouldn't be there. Are they naive people?
I don't want to say they are naive. Maybe I'm naive, but the point is, what happened in Afghanistan or in Iraq was not a good strategy. If you really use military power, so you have to have a strategy and a plan after going in a country. That was the reason why Iraq is now in the situation how it is. Mm-hmm. To go back and leave all the weapons there so IS can just came and take them. You know, I'm just a little woman, and I'm not a big politician, so maybe I cannot understand what has happened there, very, very high in high politics. But we know in Germany we had a very, very good Marshall Plan after the war. If a democratic countries, if the Western want to really change something in Near East, so and go in some countries and try to start the process to democracy. So you should have a good plan and a good strategy after military attack.
It's a good idea in principle.
In principle,
in theory.
Every time a good idea to have a plan and just go there and use your military power.
But that's not what I see happen. What I see happen is the Germans delivering training and armaments to Kurdish forces, Peshmerga forces, and when all of this dies down, when all of this settles down, they are not going to give those armaments back and go back to their daytime jobs.
They're not.
Exactly.
They're not, and I guess it's a big failure. The Western countries failed in Iraq, and I hope they won't fail. They failed in Syria. We still don't see any political concept, a strategic concept.
No concept.
Given weapons is not a solution to the conflict. That's why I think it will make things worse if we only elaborate on the military aspect. We need a political process. That's why Vienna is very important. All sides have to sit down before it gets worse, because Saudi Arabia and Iran, we're seeing the developments which the sectarian violence might increase. So I think it's time for Western powers to think politically, strategically, to have concepts which we cannot see. I mean, even in the EU, we have problems. It's a difficult period for all of us, I guess, and that's why it makes these terror alerts so serious. It's not because terrorists are so strong, it's because we are so weak.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the question is whose interests are here in this game, you know? It's like a game. I really, really have no idea anymore what happened in the east of Turkey, for example. Whose interests are there now in these days? What happened there? After a while, after a long term, you can say it was a long term of freedom there, we have now a war in the east of Turkey. And who's fighting against who?
It's something we've talked about very often here on the show. You will remember that we have talked about Turkey sliding slowly towards a state of effective low-level civil war. Maybe that is what is happening. It's difficult to read the situation.
What should Western states do now? What should European Union do now if you want to have a partner, a good partner in this region? So if you say Turkey is the only partner you could have, so you need really a good plan and a strategy, but political solution. But I believe that we cannot do that without military help also.
Okay.
Both has to be together.
You raised a very important point there, talking about partners. Turkey and Germany have got a very special relationship. They've had a very special relationship for a long time now, in large measure, of course, because of the very large number of people living in Germany with Turkish origins. But the relationship between Turkey and Germany has become much more problematic recently, much more troubling. Let's have a look.
Last October, Angela Merkel flew to Turkey for meetings with Recep Tayyip Erdogan. If it wants to get the migrant crisis under control, Germany will need Turkey's help. Here's what they agreed. Erdogan promised to make greater efforts to check the wave of migrants headed for Europe. In return, he gets more money for refugee camps, revived EU accession talks, and a more liberal visa policy towards Turks. Europe has pinned its hopes on the increasingly autocratic president, who has very different interests than the EU. In Turkey's southeast, he's conducting a bitter war against the banned Kurdish militant organization, the PKK. And there are many indications that he is at the same time providing at least some support for IS. Turkey has allowed arms shipments through, along with IS fighters heading for Syria. Wounded jihadists are treated in Turkish hospitals. Although Turkey is part of the anti-IS alliance, Turkish jets are bombing Kurds, who have so far been most successful at fighting IS. Germany needs Turkey to relieve the pressure of the migrant crisis, but is the cost too high?
That's the question. Is President Erdogan playing a double game? Is the cost too high of being in what is effectively an alliance with the Turkish leader?
Well, I think we need to be pragmatic, and that's what the German government is, I think, trying to do. Yes, he might play a double game. He has done it before. But what is crucial for Germany is that he cooperates on certain issues and that we pull Turkey to EU and to the West again, with or without Erdogan. I mean, we need Erdogan at this moment, maybe, but the point is that we need to talk with him to convince him on certain issues. We don't have any other options. And I think the German government is acting pragmatic on this issue.
Alan, with or without Mr. Erdogan?
With. You know, he's not a nice person, but he's the only one we have, and we're the only ones he has. The Russians are against him, the Syrians are against him, the Iranians are against him, IS is against him. You know, he's lost the Arabs who, you know, are against him, Mr. al-Sisi in Egypt. So he's lost everyone except us. So actually, we're dealing with him on that we both need each other. And given that, we could actually talk a bit tougher than we're doing.
Yes, and even when we know that Erdogan brings Germany in the situation to reach the hand, you know. Yeah. Even when we say there was a plan to come on this point that Germany has to say, please help us. So even in this point, we have to say, we need each other. We need each other. We cannot do it without each other.
And maybe it's exactly because, like you said, Turkey is alone, has no friends right now, has no ally in the region, and it's maybe the momentum for Europe, for the Western powers to pull back Turkey to the West.
Maybe it's a chance also for Turkey.
Okay. Before we go, I'd like to talk about one thing that I'd like to bring the conversation back to Germany, because we've talked about how these incidents that we've seen over recent weeks and months have been destabilising Turkey. What about Germany? In Germany, we've got the refugee crisis. Everybody knows this is going on. They know that 1 million people have come into Germany in the last year. They've heard about the events in Cologne on New Year's Eve, which were very disturbing events. I don't think we need to go into the details. They've now heard about what's happened in Istanbul. How destabilising is this for Germany? How much of it is Germany now an angst country, which is what some people in the German press have been saying, angst Republic?
I think we're being a little bit unfair. Yes, xenophobia, Islamophobia is increasing in Germany, but the majority of Germans do find it, they welcomed the Syrian refugees, and I think the Merkel government did a great job on this issue, because this is exactly what the Islamic State and the fundamentalists want. They want more xenophobia, they want more racism, so they have more arguments. And I think the only way to really overcome this angst is that we, in the German society, we work, we talk, we try to find a consensus on certain issues like religion or maybe women, equal rights, homosexuality. This is something that we can only learn. The coexistence is the only way that we can survive, and we have to learn. And I think the 70 years of democratic struggle in Germany, all the gains, rights, it's not only about immigrants, it's about homosexuals, it's about women's rights. This is amazing, and I don't think that anyone should threaten or do something against.
This is a remarkably positive vision of how things are in Germany and how things could still develop in Germany. I suppose we need to go back to the question at the beginning of the show, is despite that vision and despite the events in Istanbul, or because of the events in Istanbul, is it now inevitable that Germany is going to be hit by an unprecedented attack? I need an answer to that question. What's the mood?
Well, you know, I think you'd be foolish to deny that. That's going to happen. And other things are going to happen too in this year. We're going to have regional elections, 5 of them, I think. And they're going to destabilise Germany because the populists are going to come into all these parliaments. So, yes.
Zehran, do you fear there's going to be an attack in Germany?
I'm sure.
Zehran is sure there's going to be an attack on Germany. We've had a very positive take on the situation in Germany.
I'm trying to be optimist.
Yeah, this sounds very grim indeed. You're sure there's going to be an attack. We're going to have to leave it there. Come back to Quadriga next week. Thanks for joining us.